good afternoon.
Gosh, it is. It's a little bit late this morning. Hi, guys.
Hi, we're back for Wellbeing Wednesday, episode number 21, and we have been joined today by lovely Kate Dimmer from Kate Dimmer Nutrition. We got some top tips for what?
Nutrition.
Nutrition for the winter, right?
Yeah.
So
keep the bugs away.
Keep the bugs away.
I'm
not a fan of autumn. It's wet, it's cold, it's damp. Yeah. Everything's dying.
And everyone starts
I keep
to feel
slipping on leaves every time I walk down the road.
I know.
Don't know what's underneath them. So anyway, that's my motivation for the day.
We like autumn, don't we? Because we like the jumpers and the boots.
Yeah, it's our favourite season.
It's the autumn colour.
I love all the warm jumpers, and I love to get all snuggled up, and it's just a chance to kind of go inward a little bit as well, isn't it? And just kind of go into a bit more hibernation mode, and I quite like that.
Yeah, I like that too. Especially in the depths of winter.
Yeah, and just getting cosy.
Well, I don't like being outside in the winter, put it that way.
The leaves are amazing.
Yeah, I need a good coat and decent windows, but it's another story.
So, we thought we'd bring Kate on because Kate's amazing, and she runs Kate Dimmer Nutrition. And we've worked together before, haven't we?
Yeah, we did a detox workshop, didn't we, in the summer?
Yeah, and that was amazing. And she's got lots of information for you all. Like, Kate is very knowledgeable on balancing hormones and eating certain foods to boost your immune system and your health, and also some healthy foods to help you, kind of watch your weight and maintain a healthy weight as well.
Cool.
And we're really into that, Matt, aren't we? We're interested to hear
I'm
as
really
well.
conscious about my weight.
Yeah. No, you're not. You want to be healthy.
No, I want to be healthy,
yeah.
But we could, because people got bugs coming up, and I think because everyone's just, a lot of kids have just gone back to school again after half term, and I know some would have been away, and I think that seems to generate more bugs that we get to share, and sometimes they even just hang around for a little bit. So,
What can we do?
What can we do to prevent prevention first of all?
Prevent, and then what do we do when we have got something? I think with prevention, it's just going to kind of boil down to making sure, and this is all about diet, obviously. It's all about kind of making sure you've got as many nutrients as you can, and if you've got a family, your kids need much more nutrients, a nutrient-dense diet. So that basically means there's not a lot of room for all those foods that actually don't have a lot of nutrients in them. Yeah. There's not a lot of space in their day for those kind of foods. Yeah. Because there's so many nutrients that they need. You need to ram them in.
I know, and they're at school a lot of the time, aren't they, or at nursery? So you've got limited time.
Yeah.
As well,
And some of those meals might be out of your control as well. So basically, first thing is just thinking about, taking a step back from and look at what you're eating as a whole, and just sort of think, right, okay, am I actually eating like a rainbow of fruit and veg? Because actually, everyone kind of knows that, don't they? Are we doing it? And it's not always that easy to do. But I think the main thing is to almost say, right, every time I eat, am I having some fruit and vegetables at every opportunity? So like a breakfast, you might think, okay, vegetables, but it depends on what you're having. If you're having a savoury breakfast, like if you're having eggs, you can shove in like some spinach or pepper. It depends what you're having.
I have eggs quite a lot in the morning, scrambled eggs, because it's quite quick to make it, and it's full of protein. Yeah. And then spinach would only take not long at all.
Yeah, what I do is I scramble the spinach into the scrambled eggs, because I'm all about one pot cooking and not washing it up. Yes, it's sort of tip, guys. Wilts in, and you can stir it in, and actually my children will like that, but I appreciate not everybody else's kids would. But adding something like that in, or obviously fruit, berries is a really easy one to add in. I quite like vegetable smoothies. They're not everyone's cup of tea. But actually, fruit smoothies can be really high in sugar because it breaks down all the natural fibre, and it changes the natural sugar in your fruit to an added sugar. So it's actually almost the same as having, in terms of your body, it's almost the same as having an unhealthy sugary drink. Apart from obviously the fact that you do get all the nutrients. But people, you can go a bit over the top with the fruit smoothie, so you have to be.
It's interesting to hear that, because you think, smoothie, really healthy. That's all the fruit together, isn't it? Yeah. But actually, too much fruit, even on its own, if it wasn't in a smoothie kind of format, in its natural form, would be too much sugar, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and also it's quite hard. Some people find it quite hard to digest. But if you have got a family and you're thinking, how can I get more fruit and veg? Obviously, a small portion of something like that can be really helpful if they don't like eating fruit. That's a good thing. And if you yourself, if you're on the go and you're like, I've got to dash off to work and I can't have anything till then, you can take something like that on the go. I like veggie ones. So like today I had I had kale, avocado, banana, and cucumber with
lovely.
Coconut water. And it's just, it is savoury, but actually the banana gave it a bit, but I don't often use banana, but it gave it a bit of sweetness. But then I'm thinking, right, I've already got like a head start on my...
Well, you have.
Yeah, and then I would have something with protein in it. So yeah, my first tip would definitely be like, take a step back and think about what are we eating? Am I eating like those sort of fruits and vegetables? Because they're the ones that have got the antioxidants that are gonna, they are the ones that fight off how your body fights.
Would you have that say as like your 3 meals, or in terms of like in between meals as well?
So I would say so have some fruit and vegetables or veggie definitely every meal, and then in terms of a snack, I would say try and go for something with protein, fat, and fibre. So fruit or veg, really ideally, or something like nuts is a good snack, obviously, but you could have something like nuts and a banana, because then you've got your vegetable, your fruit, and you've got a bit of protein.
And the protein balances the sugar, doesn't it?
It does, because if you're just eating fruit, or if you're just eating something just carbohydrate based, let's say you were thinking, I'm just going to have rice cakes or something, actually all you're getting is like a carbohydrate spike, and that's not doing your body any good in terms of its blood sugar balance.
Your insulin goes like that.
It does, and your body's got to send out a load of insulin there to get the blood sugar down again. So you do need some fat and protein for that balance, but also because those are some of the most important nutrients, and you've really got
to have it at every meal, and make sure if you're having a meal, to have a bit of protein and fat to balance out the carbs.
Definitely. And the main thing that I often see with people that come and see me is that breakfast is the worst meal of the day, because people tend to have a really carb heavy breakfast, and it tends to be low in fat and protein. So it's like a piece of toast or cereal, or even if it's like a fairly healthy breakfast like porridge, porridge is still
carbs,
a big carb hit. So you've got to put some fat and protein with it to sort of keep that.
Milk count as sort of a protein.
Milk does have protein in it. But even just adding a bit of some nuts and seeds or something like that.
So always have a bag of nuts and seeds, really, to help balance out the carbs.
Or you could even have nut butter's good. Or even you could have something like a boiled egg, and then you could have
a piece of toast,
a smoothie, or a piece of toast with it, and maybe a bit of fruit smoothie or something to have your vegetables and fruit. Sort of ticking all the boxes.
So always having that bit of protein to balance out, so your insulin doesn't spike too high.
And obviously the protein is so important for cells and for bone health and for general immunity. It does so much more than we know, really. It does. It's got so many more jobs than we talk about. I think when we talk about protein and the children learn about it at school, they say, it's just for cell growth. But actually, it does so much more than that, and it's really important. Particularly if you've got a family, children often don't eat enough protein, particularly because of this pattern of breakfast being like Kellogg's cereals and actually get more protein in. So fruits and vegetables, protein with every meal, so just getting the general diet looking good.
I have managed to get George to have scrambled eggs, so he will have that if I'm making it, which is really good, because I actually try to have more protein, because my insulin spikes quite easily. So the more protein I have, the better for me, my health, my immune system, everything seems a bit better if I've got a healthier, more of a protein focused diet. And when I don't have enough protein, the weight creeps on, and I feel sluggish, and I just don't feel as my best version. Personally, that's how I feel. I don't know how
and
you
eggs
feel.
are really good for, as long as you're not allergic to eggs. Eggs are really good because they're quick, but also they've got so many nutrients in them, and they've got something in them called choline, which you can't get from vegetables, and that's a really important nutrient that no one talks about. It's really important. It's particularly important for pregnant women. But it's just brilliant for children and families, and so eggs.
Eggs is I think that's not not that hard to do really. And even if you're that rushed in the morning, you could hardboil it the night before.
You could actually. And that's also a great snack. If you wanted to, you might not be that popular with us.
I've got a load of eggs here.
On my own. But it's definitely an option for like protein if you unless you have a problem with eggs. So looking at the diet as a whole, and the other thing, obviously, for like keeping your immunity, keeping up a good immunity generally, if we're talking about sort of prevention, is minimising things that are going to disrupt your immune system. So like those foods that have got lots of additives and pesticides and chemicals in them that are actually going to do some damage. So obviously minimising processed foods. Obviously we're all human and we all sometimes have to have things that are pre-prepared and the rest of it, but just looking at what we are eating and thinking, well, how many of those things can I prepare myself? Look at the ingredients.
And can you, for example, take off the apple peel that is covered in preservative? Because it's almost, you'd be surprised how long apples don't last when they don't have preservative on them. When they're just organic and they haven't got any chemicals on them to keep them, for a couple of weeks. You'd be surprised how quickly they actually go off.
But I don't think anything lasts like it used to. Like fruit and veg wise. Half the time I'm sure it's probably on its way out before you've even bought it.
It's probably been stored.
I think so.
And then it's
I always take it from the box underneath.
It probably has. Before it even reaches you, it's probably been stored for
and if it's come from abroad, obviously it's travelled quite a long way. So that's another thing you can do, is if you can buy, and this is obviously more expensive and more inconvenient, but that's the way when you're eating healthily. If you can buy locally, it hasn't travelled so far, so the nutrients won't have degraded as much. So that's another thing that you can try and do, is rather than buy something that's come from miles and miles away.
But you're probably saving that money anyway because it lasts that little bit longer. You're not throwing it out, right? So
exactly. And use your freezer as well. So I try and eat seasonally and not have the berries all through the year and that kind of thing. But you can get really stuck with just apples, pears, and maybe some easy peelers from wherever. And it's like, oh, actually this is quite limiting. So I think that frozen fruits are quite good because they're really cheap and they don't go off, and you can just blend them up into something.
Blueberries, we're real berry fans in our house, but I find that if they don't get eaten up because they're so delicious, then you can, they're expensive to waste, aren't they? Because berries are expensive. So frozen, you can put a few every morning on your porridge, can't you? And just whack them in, and that's fine.
But we have to be mindful of the things that are included in, the added stuff like the preservatives and those sorts of things. We want to avoid those because actually they can really damage our guts, and our gut health is really important for our immunity. So looking after our gut health is another thing we can do to sort of keep our immune system working really well.
Which I guess then affects mental health as well, right?
Yeah, affects absolutely everything. And now it's quite exciting actually how we know now the gut really affects the whole body, and there's this like two-way communication between the gut and the brain, and the brain and the gut.
They call it the second brain, don't they?
So it's exciting to find now how hugely influential it is. So we need to look after it. So fewer pesticides if you can, fewer preservatives. That's another.
Sometimes you don't. It's something you overlook, isn't it? You're in a rush. You've got to get the food for the family. And actually, thinking about what is on the top of your food is quite scary, isn't it? It's like maybe you don't even want to think about it because it's just like, but all the chemicals and stuff they use.
And it's beyond a lot of our control because actually to make it vegetables and fruit affordable, this is the way it's produced. I mean, I buy a lot of organic, but then I choose to spend more money than the average person on my groceries. But I don't buy a lot of things that some people might buy. So I don't buy sort of yogurt. So I don't buy processed cereals. I don't buy fruit juice. There's lots of things that people might have in their trolleys that I don't buy. But I just choose to buy organic vegetables and things. But that's just me, and not everyone's got that budget. So it's just
but do you do like a shopping list?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I do. Like for clients or
for clients, what I do is when I give them, what I do is I've got a handbook that I give my clients,
Yeah.
and in there's diet and lifestyle stuff, and there's a cooking from the cupboard section.
Yeah.
So I kind of give them a suggestion about, you know, stuff to keep in the cupboard, stuff to keep in the fridge, stuff to keep in the freezer, that you can rustle things up, you know, rustle up meals.
That's a good idea.
Because obviously we don't want to waste things, but you want to be able to, if you come home from work and you're like, oh gosh, you know, you want to be able to quickly and make something. Yeah. And again, frozen stuff can be used for, like, frozen butternut squashes and sweet potatoes are quite good, because often what puts people off from using those things is like, oh goodness, I've got to peel it and chop it and
then steam it.
Yeah, so you can just add that to sauces and stuff without having to do anything. So you
could
still
do a
get
whole
that
big
fibre.
batch, couldn't you?
Yeah,
and
make
then
a huge
freeze
batch of it. So that's really good. And I keep prawns in the freezer, actually, like raw ones, and you can defrost them in a big bowl of cold water,
and it doesn't take long, isn't it? Yeah.
And so if you're thinking, right, quick, that's what I did last night, actually, because I had a client last night and I had to get back and cook a meal for the family, and so I was like, right, I'm just going to do a pasta sauce, and I'm going to make, I mean, we don't have pasta very much in our family, and it's rice pasta because it's gluten free and all this, but I was making it with, the protein was coming from prawns, and I was cooking some prawns and I made this tomato sauce, and obviously we always have vegetables, and so how did I get my vegetables in? I was kind of slicing it up really, really finely and stirring it into the sauce. There's no escape from the vegetables.
Can I come round to yours for tea? Sounds delicious, doesn't it? It sounds really nice. The other thing I thought, if people can't afford to buy organic, one option is to peel the apples, for example, that you get, because that's what my granddad used to do, and he was really healthy and he was really conscious about the preservatives on food, so he used to peel everything that he could. And you know, that's just another way if you can't afford to buy
and organic. Do you know about the clean 15 and the dirty dozen clean 15?
No.
So it's like a list that's published every year of the top most contaminated fruits and vegetables with preservatives or chemical, you know, pesticides. And then the alternative ones that you can have that are less affected by pesticides. So if you're on a budget and you want to get some things that are organic and some things that are not organic, so it's quite good. You can get that. In fact, I've probably got a link to it somewhere on my.
Could you drop it in the comments? That'd be handy.
I can do that. But I tell you, if you wanted to make your own judgments about that, basically, if it's something like soft fruit, like berries, then you can tell that's going to have the exposure to the chemicals. Whereas it's something like a butternut squash or an avocado or a banana, something that you've got quite a firm peel, then it's less likely to be affected.
Isn't it?
So you can almost sort of work it out yourself. But it tends to be things like apples at the top one, and like strawberries and raspberries.
It's incredible, isn't it? You buy a load of apples, right, and they are still okay, like 2 weeks later. It's like, how is that? How is that possible? The preservatives and the chemicals they use on them. You know, and if they didn't use that on them, they'd probably gone off in a week, wouldn't they?
Exactly.
They'd be off in a week.
Yeah, but it's, you know, hopefully it will change, because it's just not good for the environment as well to use all those pesticides. But but for our immune system point of view, keeping them to a minimum will actually help foster a good immune system through
this
having
is a good
that
one
gut,
for you then, Matt.
It is,
yeah.
What else? I mean, we have to think about things that might be a problem for us. So like tuning into your own body is really important, and don't ignore things. Like if you think, actually, every time I have milk, for example, or bread, I have bloating, or I have bunged up ears, or I have sinus problems, or tune into that, because actually if that food is a problem for you, every time you have it, your immune system is like, I'm trying to keep on top of it, and what will happen is your immune system gets kind of tired, and then you become more susceptible to colds and viruses.
And does that make leaky gut syndrome worse?
That's
You know, it's funny, I had a kinesiology session in Stroud years ago, and they were checking for my food intolerances, and it was amazing because I knew roughly what foods I was intolerant to, like wheat, milk, and so on and so on, and obviously was leading gluten-free diet as much as I could. But I didn't realise, and she did all these tests, but I was eating a lot of prawns because I love seafood, and I was a little bit irritated by prawns, which I was so surprised, and tomatoes, and it was because it was too acidic for me, and I was having tomatoes on everything.
And it's not always obvious, and actually sometimes with like a mild food intolerance you wouldn't even notice, because you've got used, that's your normal. Like, so if you're one of those people that's like like that all the time, that's actually something's like, it's a little bit of a silent reflux thing going on. So it might be worth thinking about, is there something that you're eating all the time that's slightly making you produce that?
It could be dairy, maybe, because dairy is quite damp,
but it could also be, it could be other things. So we often think, oh, it's just dairy for me, but actually it can be other foods as well. So tuning into your body and thinking, you know, are there foods that make me feel tired, give me headaches, and you know, that's and have a period where you say, actually, I'm just going to stop that food for a week or two and see how I feel, and that will help to strengthen your immune system a bit. And eventually you'll be able to eat those foods again, but you might need a break.
But then I suppose that would give you a bit of an answer as well on how much moderation.
It's so interesting, isn't it? And it's like a process of kind of it's like an investigation into yourself, isn't it? And what you eat.
You have to really listen to your body, because when I see people, I can give them the facts and I can give them the general information. I give people a lot of general information because there's so many myths out there, and there's a lot of stuff on the media about how to eat. So I give them that information, and I also give people their individual recommendations. But within that, you're going to have your own little quirks. So I might say, hey, this food is really nutritious. You know, like I might say, eat lots of broccoli. But to someone, that food is going to cause them a lot of bloating, for example. So we've all got our individual issues, and we have to tune into our own bodies and think, okay, I know kind of this is healthy, but even though that's healthy, like yogurt might be healthy, is that working for me as a person? Is that giving me like some sort of symptoms, even if it's a very subtle thing?
That's why diets and things like that is a funny one, because, and I know you don't advocate diets, but just talking about the fact that one diet will not suit everybody. You know, it's everybody's individual, aren't they? And we're really sensitive, complex human beings.
It would make my life so much easier if there was one diet, but it's because of we're all genetically so unique, and you know, there are genes that make us have trouble with fats. There are genes that make us have trouble with carbohydrates.
So I'm insulin sensitive because I've got endometriosis, polycystic ovary. So that makes me really sensitive to insulin. So if I eat too much carbs, which spikes my insulin, I put weight on really easily. So for me personally, I have to have a really protein-heavy diet. And when I don't, all hell breaks loose.
And you've had to learn that
will be
about
different.
yourself.
And that will be different to me. And you might be able to have more carbs and so on.
I haven't really thought about it too much, to be honest with you. I try and eat a few different things. So I was quite terrible as a child. I wouldn't eat fruit and certain veggies, but I think I might try the eggs and spinach.
And that's so quick. Cooking scrambled egg is the quickest.
I like that, and you just tear it up and chuck it in, and off you go.
I'm all about
even
1 pound, bit of stir. I mean, I literally am making breakfast most mornings. And I'm left with all the... My kids and I washing up.
I know, that's the same as me.
You should do it.
So, because you mentioned about diets, and obviously we're going to be very soon into that time of the year where everyone starts eating differently, and then come back in January and suddenly it's I need to get fit, and which is kind of great for our industry a little bit because we want to get fit. But so we talked about prevention. What would you say? Let's flash forward now. It's January and we kind of just tried to pull our jeans on.
Oh dear, we're in trouble.
It's not happening. What's your thoughts?
What in terms of like
weight
management?
What should be our first step? Do we go on like the next fad diet, or because I think
I'm going to say
bad. No. I know. I'm glad because we agreed.
I mean, I think first of all, you've got to ask yourself why you put the weight on. So if I was to sit at home at Christmas and not exercise because it's the holidays and the kids are at home and I'm not really doing so much, and eat lots more chocolate and drink much more wine or whatever, I would definitely put weight on. So just reducing those things you've brought in that you wouldn't normally do, like the extra chocolate, and then bringing back your normal routine, it could be as simple as that.
Yeah.
But I think if weight in general, when you approach weight and diets, I think what you have to do is first of all be cynical about what people are telling you, because there's no one needs to eat and drink products.
Yeah.
So don't be fooled by this idea of a product is the answer, because we weren't evolved to have a product. We just evolved to eat normal food.
Don't fall for the marketing schwiz. It's basically there to kind of like encourage you to you must have this to lose weight. But you're right, natural foods.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it's like
natural
people crazy a little bit, to be honest. Oh, I've got to do this, and on a fad diet type scenario. And what's the dangers of these?
Well, the danger, first of all, you've got to ask yourself, who is telling me this?
Yeah.
Where am I getting my information from? If you're getting your information from, some celebrity that isn't qualified in nutrition or, well-being or personal trainer or whatever, ask yourself, who is telling me that, giving me this information? Because a lot of the time it is just marketing for something, or it's just someone jumping on a bandwagon. And also, just because one person has tried this diet, one thing, and it's worked for them, doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And we've just talked about haven't we? Said how everyone's individual. So don't be persuaded by this. Stay in your lane and think, right, well, I know that I'm better off with higher, amounts of protein, blah, blah, blah. So you've got to tune it into yourself. So first thing is, be thinking about who's telling me this. Can I trust them? Make sure you get advice from somebody that you trust. What are they telling me? Are they selling me products? Because again, you don't need them. And am I having whole foods and natural foods?
Yeah, be informed and make your own decisions. And
exactly.
don't be kind of, just because somebody tells you something doesn't mean it's true, does it?
No, it's usually for an outcome that someone else wants, right?
Yeah, and they want to obviously make a sale.
Fair enough.
And also put like a bit of common sense to it. Like think to yourself, okay, is it really going to be good for me to eat the juice of 5 celery stalks or celery things? Is that natural?
Could it make my stomach feel a little bit funny?
I just had a vision of someone sat at home thinking, I just got, man, I'm just going to launch this diet out. Could make millions.
It was a really big thing on Instagram, the celery juice diet.
Oh, I can't think of anything. It doesn't sound very appealing to me.
No, don't to me. That's why I just zone out of it. People sometimes get the odd person come in that's tried something and
we could all make up our own diet. We can make one up right now. It's called the Toblerone diet, and we just don't eat anything but Toblerone. And you
we'll
might
dribble up here.
You might lose weight, and then everyone's like, "Oh my goodness, Toblerone's the way forward."
Yeah.
But it's all going to.
That's
be
a joke, by the way.
Yeah,
so
I don't.
You advocate Toblerone. What are we going to do now? If you see hashtag Toblerone diet, this comes from.
I started something.
I heard it somewhere.
I started a whole thing.
Really great tips and advice there.
It's been brilliant. I've really enjoyed today.
I really enjoyed it.
Not much to say.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, brilliant.
It's been really, really interesting. So, guys, if you want to come back and look at the comments, Kate's going to drop in some more information. But please add in your comments.
Yeah, share it. Comments. And how do they get in contact with you?
I've got a Facebook page, is Kate Dimmer Nutrition, and I've got Instagram, I'm Kate Dimmer Nutrition as well, or my website is katedimmer.com, so it's,
And have you got any workshops that are coming up or anything?
No, I haven't at the moment. I think in the new year there'll be something, but at the moment, because time is going to whiz by, I'm really focusing on my clients.
Yeah, sure.
But next year there'll definitely be more workshops.
We're thinking of doing one next year, aren't we?
So there'll be more to come.
Stay tuned.
Wellbeing, Witchcombe Street Wellbeing.
I know, that's coming around quickly.
Oh, your festival?
Yeah.
We haven't planned anything yet.
We haven't planned anything, but you know what, we're on it. We're on it.
Busy, the 3 of us.
So guys, thank you so much for tuning in once again, and Kate, thank you so much for coming in. It was really, really interesting. And we'll see you next week for episode 22.
Lucky number. All right,
guys.
Peace and love. Bye bye.